All right, why am I not in my suit? Why am I in my Crockett Coonhound hat? All that sort of thing. Why am I not in my normal older dad show garb? Okay, it's because I just got through videotaping, or what do I call it, video? On my video that I did on Alana and I seeing a Bigfoot. Okay, which might be news to you guys here on the older dad show. I'm making this video basically not for you guys. I'm doing this because Alana, if you're watching, if you ever Google my name or you ever start watching some of my stuff, I wanted to tell you a few things that you can't seem to get now. You just turned 9. We just got 4 cats, all that sort of thing. Your autism is making you to where you don't pay a lot of attention, which is fine. You're starting to become more independent. So this is for you that I'm saying all this. Now, if you watched our Crockett Coonhound video that's extremely long, and he was asking what this was, I had to try to talk to you about that it's a tinfoil hat, because in our society we talk about anybody that's got a conspiracy stuff as tinfoil hat people. And I had to explain a lot about Bigfoot and some of that sort of thing because of our encounter um, back in the Christmas of 2023 when we seen the Bigfoot at the park, which is weird because I didn't believe in them. And yet I'm staring at something that wasn't supposed to exist only about 100 feet away. And then when it did that shimmer thing and disappeared in front of us, that scared me so bad. And you were back there playing on the playground, and I thought I was going to die. And well, it's been 2 years. I'm doing this in January of 2026. The world is terrible. The Trump regime has been in office about a year, and there's just a whole lot of chaos going on. And my illnesses, my heart and my brain tumor and my diabetes is getting worse. So I don't know how much longer I'm going to be able to do normal stuff. I've already had to kind of get our guy to mow our yard. We've had to file bankruptcy and all that sort of thing because my health and the bills and all that sort of thing. The business venture didn't turn out like I thought. I didn't see AI taking out a lot of our traffic. The advertising money was tied to the traffic, and people just give up on it. When they run out of money, then there was no money for us. So we had to make some really odd decisions. So don't blame me, Alana. Okay, I'm kind of a victim of the circumstances I was handed. I'm trying to pivot to courses. It's not going well because, again, AI and courses. And then 2, people think they know everything. So I'm sorry, but this is some advice, some dad advice to you. I don't have notes. This is back to my Bigfoot notes. Let me just move it out of the way and just talk. I really do believe in the future for you to be the best version of you can be. I kind of adopt the Robert Fulgham's or Full. Anyway, Robert something. I forget his last name. I think it's Flugum. He wrote a book, Everything I Need to Know I Learned in Kindergarten. And he's on to it. And it's because you learn to share, how to be quiet when you shouldn't speak, how to take a nap. There's just so many things he said in that book that's supposed to be funny. There was some other books later I would recommend you read. And anybody that's watching this, read. Like I say, this isn't primarily to anybody else except my daughter Alana. If she ever Googles my name, and I'm going to put it in the title, something like Mike Talks to Alana or something like that. Anyway, I'm not really trying to be a YouTuber. I'm just a person on YouTube. And that's because whenever you drop your phone and the memory goes blank, or you can't find your way into your iCloud or something silly, or the computer, I said always click this file, and it has its hard drive out because it died one day. that at least you can go to, hopefully, maybe there's still an internet whenever you do this, and some other quacky politician hasn't got in here and messed up everything. I want you to know that. I don't want you to have a long list of goals. A lot of our hustle culture has made people strive and get ahead and do this and do that and multitask, and if you ain't doing this then you're sucking at that, and it's just such bull crap. All the innovation has come from people that blew stuff up. We hire the professionals to work for the person who started the company because usually his dad did something crazy. I mean, NASCAR was pretty much invented when they figured out they could put stuff in an engine and outrun the cops. It wasn't because they were trying to set records. They were trying to get away with things. And that innovation came from rednecks taking apart an engine going, you know what we could do? And then they invented an engine with none of them probably going to school. And then once they invented an engine, they had to put it in a car, and that required all the smart people to come up and make the business venture a thing. But it was invented by other people who had very little education. If need be like one of those people. Find something in you that makes you tick, and then you do that. Okay? Or at least be a part of that team. That would be an advice of mine so that you can have what we would call a fulfilling life. And a fulfilling life is basically one where your needs are met by something you like to do. There's a financial incentive that usually follows people that have a particular skill. And that's because if you could do something, you can work. We would usually say work for yourself. But if you're a venture capitalist, it says, no problem, I'll just put money behind people that actually do all the work while I myself can't do nothing. And that's why if the sun ever has a certain size Carrington event and the lights go out, they will be stuck and screwed because you can't eat the money. So, because it'll be worthless trying to make an app where I hope you're the kind of person, Alana, who can just say, I know how to get food. I know how to make food. I know how to cook food. I know how to get warm. I know how to find a place. I know how to secure a place. I know how to be a type person that can take responsibility for my own. And that's what I'm asking. Also, find somebody to partner up with. Every society when we went to the Amish communities, because I'm the Amish guy, even though I've never been Amish or Mennonite, they kind of stress pairing up early. I definitely agree with that. If you could find somebody who you can't run off, you can threaten to do all manner of evil to them, and they're like, I ain't leaving you, girl. That's probably the one. The pretty boys who don't give you the time of day because he needs his wingman to somehow swoop in there and give you something to show him how awesome his friend is, which is the one that really likes you. That's just a game. And then stupid people play those games. And girls that want to be stupid will do those game tricks and act like they're idiots so that other guys who are true idiots try to run their mind game on them. And it's all just an act. If they ever get married, they'll be divorced the next year. Some people are on their 5th and 6th divorces. And it's because they never go out. While the Amish community would be like, I don't know why you'd make a group of young people have to deal with such complex bunch of stuff. If we really want to know somebody, we tell them we're going to take them home on Sunday. That tells every dude she's interested in me. And if she's interested in me a couple years after that, we're going to make a lot of babies come out of her. And unfortunately, that's how they think and do. But they stay married their whole life. And not to say all of them, that's the way to do it. I'm just saying some version of that is probably more correct than trying to find you a wingman and do all that, or wing girls. Anyway, I usually always say this next part is never marry a fixer-upper. If a person has had multitudes of different problems in their life, and they're the ones who seem to be causing the problems, they're going to cause problems in your life. Some people are chaos waiting to find a location, and then some people are a location looking for chaos. I don't understand that. Both are a type of fixer-upper to me. What I mean by that is in a home situation, if you find a place that's a fixer-upper, you can usually get a really good deal on it, only to find that when you're done fixing it up, it costs more than a brand new house, usually. Now, sometimes that is worth it for some people that have taken some old house that they call have good bones. They fixed it up because it's in a location that they could never buy. I understand that. I'm just saying be sure to use your head and to really use your heart. Some people are a victim of circumstance. So they married the wrong person, thinking they had the right one, and then they find out that person doesn't want them no more. So if you do get in a relationship, be sure that you're in a wanted situation. And that person that you're with will just they will do the worm dance across the hottest Sahara desert in order to get you, if that's what it's gonna. Find somebody that pursues you. And if you could pursue them back, that'll be even better. Don't be afraid to love, okay? But this is usually done earlier than later. By the time you get to be in your 30s and 40s, a lot of that stuff goes out the window. People just you're looking at what's left in the pool of people to choose from if that's the case. And I know people like to say, I put my career before. Well, then now you're just a fixer-upper. It says that I'm so dedicated to my money that I got to be real careful on who I partner up with that might get some of it. That just means you're a selfish, prickish idiot. So don't ever get with those people that's like, I put my career first, then I established myself at my job, then I made sure I got promoted to the. Oh wow! So if you erased all this, you're just a piece of shit that should have done something else. So try to know real people. When it comes to food and travel, try to do as much as you can. I ate a live sea urchin at a sushi bar, and it was terrible to me, even though some people really like that. But I'm glad I did it to say that I did it. And I've ate all kinds of manners of things. I try to do some of those hot competitions. That was really dumb. But I did it. And now I know where my line is. So what I'm trying to say, I guess, too, is try to figure out where your line is. And try not to go over the line. That happens in drinks. If you're out drinking and you know that you have like a 3 martini limit or whatever, find that out at your house. You know what I mean? I definitely practiced on myself as I found a bartending book, and I was like, all right, it needs this, 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 and this. I was like, ooh, it needs a little bit of this. And I was like, ooh, that made a really good drink. So I drink it. But I couldn't do that all night. I would be definitely missing work the next day. I happened to be at that time in a state or a place at my parents' house, and I did not have a real job. I was a musician, which is like having a no job. But anyway, I didn't have to get up the next day, and it made it harder to get up the next day. So I had to put a day or two between each practice, or I had to shorten the number of classes I got to do to myself. So all that was pretty much done with by the time I met your mother, which I love so much. I'm sure I've heard you, or you've heard us talk about that. Basically, we went to a play back when I was in high school, or when she was in high school. I just left high school, and I just couldn't get over her. I was like, I am so into this person. And at that time, my band was about, well, we met with Dwayne Eddy and Mike Kinnaman, especially Mike Kinnaman. He was at the time, anyway, he was one of those talent scouts up in Nashville. We went to his house. It wasn't that big of a house, but about as far as your eye can see behind his house was land in Williamson County. So instead of buying a huge mansion, he bought a big farm type thing and just evidently rode these dualies, big trucks with the double wheels in the back, just all over, just drinking, looked like. But all over his house was gold, silver, platinum records he had produced or been on, and all that sort of thing. But it looked like I was going to be a rock star. That didn't happen. Everybody in my band pretty much went to college except for a few of us, and I had to get a real job, and I went to trade school. So your mom was like, you know what? I love him, even though he's not a rock star and a trade school guy. Maybe in the future he'll do something great. I never did anything great, unfortunately. I had to quit believing in myself. That's probably another thing you should do. People say, believe in yourself and you can do anything. That is not true. Believing in yourself usually makes you do an error you did not see because you're blinded by the idea that one day I'm going to do something. And this could be my chance. And you wait and waste your whole life thinking this will be your chance. I believe happiness is like salt on French fries. You don't believe me? Try eating some nasty fries with no salt. You will think, if I just put a little salt on this, I'll be fine. And when you do, for some reason, all the glory comes back. But I try not to believe in myself. I don't believe in that culture. I think it's led a lot of people astray. So that would be some of my advice. Because there's only a handful of things I really want you to pay attention for your whole life. I believe in every other situation you'll know more than I do about what you need. And this isn't conspiracy, tinfoil hat stuff. It really isn't. I think you'll know more about it. So when I'm dead and gone, and your mom's dead and gone, and you say, I wish I could talk to somebody about it, then talk to yourself. I think you know exactly. And then just check your math with other people that you know love you. And if they're not selfish, or if you don't see that they're trying to push you in a direction, then just at least get it off your chest by talking. All of us are making up things. I need to tell you this part too. There is no meaning to life. A lot of people have claimed, I got all these books here, like here's the discovery of being. You know, that's a pretty good book. It's an old book to you, I'm sure. Oh, Sigmund Freud, Psychoanalysis, really good. Anthropic cosmological principle, dealing with man and the cosmos and all that stuff. And you'll hear this talk of fate. In religious circles, sometimes you'll hear it referred to as predestination. Predestination, and this idea that you were put on this earth for a purpose. That's not true. You were put on this earth because me and your mom had some relations one night, and you came out 26 weeks, so 1 pound 13 ounces, and spent the first 3 months in the NICU. That wasn't your plan. That just happens to be what happened. It's coincidental. There is no meaning to life. There's no purpose of existence. The thing you call you is a state in your head. Unfortunately, the thing we call us isn't even a real thing. It's a thing we think we know, but we're not. There's probably no such thing as free will in the sense that we think of it like that. If I say right arm move, I can move it. You, it would look like my left arm because you're looking at me. So I wouldn't spend a whole lot of time trying to find this grand meaning of life because it doesn't exist. So explore things. Find yourself getting excited and then do that. That's why I was saying earlier, I don't believe in a long list of I got to have my doctorate before I'm 27 and then I can be at this hospital and I'll eventually be, if you take the medical route, or when I become an astrophysicist, I'm going to be, this, I'll need my doctorate and this and that. And if I don't do that, I'm a piece of garbage. Not true. Not true. You are Alana. And if you're a billionaire, you're going to be Alana with billions of dollars. If you have to live under a bridge because something, I don't know, that you did, I don't know why you'd live there, then you're Alana that lives under the bridge. No matter where you are, you're the same person. Okay? Never forget that. Ever, ever, ever. I really want you to understand that I want you to be the best version of Alana you could be. Some people say, well, I don't want my kids to suffer. I kind of want you to suffer a little. A bodybuilder can only get bigger muscles if he or she or them or whatever pejorative you want to put in here, if they lift weight and they make micro tearing. So if anybody says, well, I don't want you to tear your muscles, well, that's the only way you're going to get bigger. So I want you to be able to deal with your stress in a manageable level. I don't want you to go in there and place yourself underneath 300 pounds of bench press and say, drop it on me, boys, because that might be the last day of your life. Because you're going to go, you know what I'm saying? It's going to be terrible. So I don't agree with putting yourself under adversity to show off. And a lot of people live vicariously through their kids. So they say, for example, if I didn't become a baseball player and I pushed you to be a baseball player and I pushed you hard so that you can realize my dream, I don't ever want to do that. I think that's silly. I think that's terrible. I've seen a lot of kids who they didn't want to play. Paul, he was a really good pitcher, really good ball player. Because he was just athletic. It didn't matter if it was darts. He would beat you, and he made sure you knew he beat you. We was playing Monopoly, and he would just run the board with everybody because he was just competitive. And kind of a butthole, too, because it's like he had to make sure he knew, or everybody knew, he beat them. And it's because his parents could care less about a game or a sport or any of that crap. They didn't care. They just wanted to be happy and not put so much time and energy with a ball, because ball didn't make you a lot of money and do the things necessary to make you win at life. So when they built a garage, instead of saying, like my grandpa wanted him to fix cars for everybody else, since you seem to be all about them, and maybe you can get a little side business, and no, he went and bought, or him and his brother went and bought a race car and wasted a lot of money. So it was just like, oh, you were so close. But he does have the experience of being in a race car that, the dragster that go like 200 and something miles an hour, and had a parachute on the other end of it to make sure it stopped and didn't hit something on the other end. Brakes don't work well when you're moving a mass 250 mile an hour or whatever. But so what I'm saying is that you're going to have to live basing your existence on a combination of responsibility and excitement. If you can blend those, I think you're going to be fine. Also, I want you to embrace boredom. Oh my goodness, how many things have been innovated because somebody was bored and they just thought, you know what, if I put this, then this thing and this other thing, and it would make this happen. Well, would that be and while they're bored and they got their pen and paper and they're just doodling, they come up with something that's amazing. Chefs do this. They're like, what if I take this she crab soup and I pour sherry wine in it? Well, they made it better. they made it awesome because a little bit of sherry wine in sheet crab soup actually makes it go from better to best. It really does. And sometimes it's the accidents, kind of like how, when we're talking about food, people dropping a sandwich like the French dip that started out in California, has nothing to do with France. And I think the guy, they called him Frenchie. Anyway, drops this whole sandwich down in here, pulls it back out, wraps it up, gives it to the guy. And the guy loves it. Tells everybody, this is the best sandwich ever. I don't know what he did. It's all saggy and gross, but it's still just so yummy. And accidents sometimes make something better. So live with those little small victories and those little happy accidents. That seems to keep people going, because you can never control your dopamine. I mean, you can't. That's why scrolling, we think, because we got all these apps and all this stuff, and we're just going thinking that the next thing we scroll up and hit is going to make ourselves happy. This thing was made for communication. It was never really meant to make us that happy. It just wasn't. Most of the time when you give somebody a megaphone, what do? They say stupid stuff we don't want to hear. Not because they're right and we just don't want to hear it. It's just because they're usually nut jobs. So I want you to know this. Most people are wrong about the thing they think they're the most correct about. So, for example, a sports person who's talking about sports is probably wrong in an area that he's completely or she's completely blind to, thinking that because they're good at sports, they know sports. And it's probably because they know a narrow little sliver of what they're a part of and oblivious to the rest. And it don't matter if you're talking about fishing people, haircut people, I don't care who anything you put in that spot. And unfortunately, the higher the education, the more narrow it becomes. An astrophysicist might not know anything about, color 67 in the Revlon catalog or something. Probably oblivious to what that even is. But yet he's a scientist, or she's a scientist. So that would be something I would definitely recommend you take a part in. And also just let things kind of happen. So many people are afraid of being 40. And then when they get to be 40, they're afraid of being 50. And they're like, oh, I'm so scared of getting older. I can't believe I'm getting older. People have the same mind their entire existence, all right? No matter how smart it is. You could have 3 PhDs in various fields. And in your head, you're the same 7-year-old. It's just you got a lot of stuff behind it. You'll still see frolic in the step of an old man, and yet quiet contemplation in the face of a baby. Those are true, all right? Politically, who knows what's actually correct? I'm all over the map when it comes to politics, and I hope you are too. Anytime you ascribe yourself to, I am a Republican, so therefore I must be this, that, and the other, throw that away, okay? Well, I've got to be a Democrat. If I'm a Democrat, I've got to believe in this, that, and the other. Throw that away. Throw all the parties all away. And then find out what it really is. If you really want to know, study politics. Just politica, it just means the rule of a city, basically. And try to find out where the PowerPoints are. I don't know what it's going to look like in your future. I'm assuming as I write this that you're with Mom, or if Mom and I both pass, you're watching this at a later date. And if you're part of my Older Dad Show page, or anybody that just happened to find this, then I'm not talking to you, so buzz off. I close the comments. So whatever it is politically that would mean the most to other people around you is probably the view you should take. And it's because when our early man, I guess if you will, was by himself, if he ever was, I doubt it. If we were ever part of a group that was isolated from our group, these, what they would call lone wolves that everybody wants to celebrate today. They were just the idiots that couldn't even get along with anybody in their village. They usually got eaten by wolves or something, or died of some weird disease or a mushroom that looked funny. So history doesn't tell us about them because they never went far enough along. But we do have those, and some people, they think because they're lone wolves that they're somehow superior to everybody in the town, where they don't accomplish anything but complaints. People that claim to be alphas and all this other crap, they think because they look tough, being that they can handle themselves on their own, that they're somehow superior to this other group. That's absolute bullcrap. When we put our heads together in our collective self, we can invent iPhones and desks and aluminum foil and pages and books and hard drives and this wonderful Lamy 2000. When somebody's by themselves, they don't have that. They don't produce anything really. And people say, well, yeah, but Steve Jobs, he went off into this, and when he came back, he invented. You didn't hear what I just said. He didn't sit there in a cave and chisel out a working model or a demo. He went to other people. He was connected to other groups. So this idea that this one person sat over here by himself without anybody else around them, that's bull. That doesn't happen. Now, if you fall out of an airplane or something and the above Hudson Bay, and you're able to sort of like wing it for a while, living in a side of a cave and eating fish raw because I taught you a few life skills, that's happenstance. But you're not inventing the next thing while you're sitting there gutting a ferret-looking thing, you know what I mean, to make another pelt. You're hoping somebody sees your smoke one day and they pull in there with one of those little airplanes that can land on water and rescue you, if that's the case. And so don't try to be an island unto yourself. It never really works out well. And I'm not saying that you have to be so much in society, but you don't, that it becomes its own problems because, I mentioned a while ago about the wingman, and all that stuff. We overcomplicate so many things. So try to find the simplicity, I guess is probably the best way I can say it. I don't have no notes. This is from the Bigfoot video. Let me just set that out. I'm just talking out just what I would like to talk to you, Alana, to say. As far as housing, as far as electricity, as far as decor, you do you. You figure out what you need. Just look at your options, find out your budget, and if you can make it happen and live off less than you make, then you'll be okay. Have a nest egg. Turn your hat upside down and then fill it with things that you like. But if you spend everything you make financially, you won't have any of this. You will have empty promises. So, unfortunately, that is the case. I knew this and still got into plenty of trouble because when you get sick in a country that don't care about you and nobody around you cares about you, and the amount to take care of your health problems and everything is financially damning, that all you can do is hope for the best and believe in yourself and then borrow money. So try not to ever get sick. Just for sure don't get sick here in America. The health care here is terrible. Well, it's great. Unfortunately, it's fantastic. It's just paying for it in an insurance situation is financially damning. It's funny how there's always money to go to war. There's always money set aside to financially back the military-industrial complex. When I was in Colorado, in parts of New Mexico and Arizona. Uh, my buddy Joe and I can't tell you where we were, but they knew of these decommissioned places where you would look from the mountain because you can't get to them. We did get close to one. This Jeep pulled up and started flashing its lights at us, and we got the hell out of there. But what you seen on all the runways was just millions, if not billions of dollars of planes. They'd produced them, and then they just took them and just parked them, and looked like they took the electronics or something out of them and put things over them or their windshield and stuff like that. And they were just rotting. I bet you there was 1,300 Humvees in this one base. And it looks like they were painting a lot of them white. I don't know. This was in like 2009, 2010, somewhere in there. Anyway, in Arizona, there was these big, huge airfields just full of military jets that will never see combat. And if we just had that money, because we're never going to use it. I mean, let's face it, it's just going to sit out there forever. But they can't turn it off. If they turn it off, it'll look like we're, I don't know, whatever. But for some reason, the United States have figured out that when you tell somebody you're serving your country, therefore you're a higher echelon of person than people that just want to help others, then they reward you more by your ability to want to kill the enemy than they do help your fellow man. So now if you get sick, oh yeah, they can fix you, but you're probably losing your house and never be able to afford a car and anything ever again. So do not, I mean, I know you can't help it, but do not be sick. Just don't get sick. And do not get poor. They don't like poor here. You got to be able to spend everything you make and become a part of the cog called the workforce. It's basically slave wages, because without them you can't meet your ends. And if you try to grow all your own food, they think you're a nutter, and they're probably going to come for that one day too, so that you can't say, like right now, if you build your own car, they're probably not going to allow it on the street. If you build your own house, they're going to say it doesn't match codes, and they won't let you do it. If you try to take your land and make it into a farm, then they're going to say, hey, look, you didn't have the right permits to become a farm. And it's just like every little thing you try to do to move around the man or whatever, if you will, somebody's there to tell you you can't do it. I'm saying get close enough to the line in whatever direction you want to go to where you're always going to be in danger of being self-sufficient. I don't know if that's the best words I want to use, but that is my advice. Find out a way to be self-sufficient. And at least then, if the lights go out, the power goes down, the water system goes down or whatever, you can just be like, I guess I'll have to live on my reserves. And you can secure your place, learn how to do some form of barter. I mean, because keep in mind, all this stuff was basically communally done. If you read David Graeber's book, Debt, the First 5,000 Years, you'll learn that barter only happens after the financial system crashes. I remember during Hurricane Katrina, they were trading water as if it was money. And it's because you had a debit card or cash. It was like nothing you could do with it. But you can drink water, especially if it was all tainted. You have to have water and food. You don't have to have money to survive. So maybe by the time you're watching this, a lot of our issues have went away. But you definitely need a social group that accepts you. I don't care if you're pink-haired, bone through the nose, tatted up, whatever. You can find a community that'll accept you. You'll also find communities that'll hate you by the mere sight of you. Understand that those are fine. They're both things that happen. Hopefully, one day we can have a society that doesn't want to murder each other simply because one group seems to think that they are superior to another group. When both groups take participation with each other all the time, like the road system, like whenever we go into a store like Walmart or Kroger and buy our groceries, we might be talking to a person who is diametrically opposed about everything we stand for. But as long as we're just talking about stuff in a Kroger, you're fine, and you seem like a nice person. But online, it's obviously different. We need to get back to that, what I call face look, not Facebook. So try to establish a group of really, really good friends. And let's talk about a friend that I'm sure is going to make people wish the comments were turned on. And that's don't be religious. If you really want somebody to go into a building and blow themselves up, you can't do that by reason. They'll say, no, I don't think I need to do that. You see, I have this one life, and it is short and somewhat unimportant. And I'm not going to waste it on your pet issue. Just not going to do that. But you could take a very radical religious person. We're all thinking of a religion that does this all the time. And that's perfectly acceptable. Actually, they applaud it. And it's like, okay, next. Who would all like to blow themselves up? And if you think some of those that live in the Middle East are the ones that do this, it's the pro-life people do this too. They blow up things like abortion clinics and all that sort of thing. They burn down things. They try to murder the people who are doctors and all that sort of thing, all because they think they hear God in their head. And God is only in your head. Anybody that says, I know the will of God, or I listen, or I pray to God, and it's because there's a God in their head. It's like, well, until they can prove outside of faith that a God exists, then God doesn't exist. Now, the only thing I can think of that I have a problem with, because as you probably know, I was an apologist for 12 years, which seems like a whole other part of me a long time ago. The only perspective that I have problems with is panentheism. Not pantheism, not panpsychism. I definitely don't believe in those. But I believe panentheism, that at the fabric of all things is a layer of reality that we could call God. But saying he had a son that had to die for you because of original sin and had to make the first rib woman out of a man and that's all made up crap. Most likely the entire Bible is just nothing but metaphor. And that most likely we're from the stars. Evolution's probably true. Special creationism on 6,000 years of history is most definitely not true. So whenever anybody starts getting in your head about how you have to believe certain things or else you're going to go to hell, you just hear it and just laugh and say, I'm sorry. Whenever you die, I don't know what happens. But if idealism is true and everything else, it's probably not surprising that you would be recycled into something. And then there is life after death. It's just evidently we're not part of it anymore. We're part of the big dinner party. The big, it's the Christopher Hitchens thing. Imagine yourself at a dinner party and you're having such a wonderful time and the evening is still going and somebody taps you on your shoulder and says, I'm sorry, but you've got to go. It's your time. And you're like, oh, well, I guess if it's my time, see you. I'll have a good time the rest of your evening as you depart. And that's what death is. And that's why I don't worry about death and why you shouldn't be that worried about my death or your mom's death. That eventually one day even you, Alana, unfortunately will die. And the people that are around you will remember you for what you really were. And hopefully it isn't because you had money or fame or status or something like that. Even though if you do, um, you could be remembered for being such a good person, for doing things with whatever you had towards other people, and that you tried to lift their day at least a little bit each time. I think that would be really nice. I would much rather have that than somebody saying, "Well, he was kind of a prick, wasn't he? He had all that money, but what did he do? What did he do with it?" And I'd have to agree. Yeah, now if somebody wants to give me a whole bunch of money of it to see what I would do with it, fine, I'll let you. Um, but if I won a huge lottery, I would be building hospital or hotels next to hospital NICUs because I remember sitting in that room not sure that you were going to live. And right after my heart surgery, I remember looking around because you're in the heart surgery wing. You're looking around some stuff they don't have just everywhere. You're looking around at all this cool stuff. You're like, oh man, I hope I don't have to use all this on me. And then they get you in this special room where you're on this little, just tiny surfboard of a place to put your back on. And then they got these little kind of posts around it. And you realize what those are for and why your back is against something so tiny. And that's so they can stretch you around to do stuff to you. And if you're in an accident and there's a steering wheel inside your chest cavity, well, they got to place you and put you in somewhere to put Humpty Dumpty back together again. And they were going to use all of it. And there was about 11 other people that were going to be in there with me. So for 3 hours and 52 minutes, I had surgery from the inside, making my ablation so that my atrial fibrillation would go on. It was a long time. There was a dude before all of us that ended up not making it. So I was like, crap, they're at least getting good at killing or death or whatever. So obviously it was a medical thing. I'm sure they were on top of it. But somebody got to go home sad that day. And while I'm sad for them, I'm happy that the next ones weren't me. So whenever you were looking around, Alana, right after the NICU, you were looking, and I got to follow you over to the NICU, and your head was just going to town, looking in it. You hadn't been out very long, and you're looking at new things, hearing sounds. I don't think you can see much because your eyes weren't really developed, but they were open, and you were checking out the world. But I remember right then I bonded with you, and I said then, I was like, I'm going to love her for the rest of her life. And there are some times where we got calls in the middle of the night telling you that you needed blood transfusions and all that sort of stuff. And we didn't think we was going to see you again. So that was kind of hard. And, but yeah, if I had a lot of money, I'd probably do that. But I have, in closing, because I think I said everything I kind of wanted to, all of us are making it up. As you know by now, there's no Tooth Fairy, there's no Easter Bunny, there's no Santa Claus, there's no God. You know what I mean? All that stuff is just imaginary. And we make up stories to make ourselves feel better about ourselves. And in a way it's kind of all right a little bit, because there's a story that we have to tell ourselves that living here is a good idea, and it's worth living, and the optimism of one day it'll be better is a lot of times the only thing you have to keep going at all. There'll be a lot of dark days, and those dark days they're almost guarantees, okay? They're going to happen. And I hope that whatever we train you to do, or train you to kind of be, is to be the best version that day you can be. That it's okay if you never become a doctor. I still love you. Your mom and I still love you. It's just that if you decide that you want to wash dogs for a living, be the best dog washer you can be. Care for every single dog that comes in. That you're careful and you're aware, and that it's something that makes you feel good about yourself. Even though the next day you might not be a dog washer, you might be something else. And that day, that 86,400 seconds, you're the best version of Alana you can be. And if one day you mess up and call your friend something terrible, or you punch your whatever other friend in the face because of something stupid, at least apologize and try to right any wrong that you create. Also, try to live in such a way that you never create a really big wrong. For example, there's been people that were fiddling around with their car, or they're trying to text their parents and they run over somebody. That means somebody's going to have to get the call that their kid is dead, or their adult is dead, or their, whatever. So never risk. Always choose guarantees over a risk. And I know you'll hear it in society today. Well, this person took the biggest risk, and that's why, like, certain individuals had to eat crackers and water because they were under so much stress. And yet it paid off for them. Well, you remember their name because you don't remember somebody else's name where the risk didn't pay off and they disappeared from society because they had to basically lose everything they ever had. Don't be that person. Try to find some way to live close enough to the middle to where you can get by on guarantees. So if it's snowing and it's icing, don't get out on the road. If your boss is calling you, you either come in or you're losing this job. Be like, fine, I can move somewhere else. You know what I mean? And I don't know. Part of me, if it ever happens, I'll say, when I come into the office, I'm beating your butt. I'm kicking it so hard, you're going to poop for a year. And it's because it's real easy to make that kind of call when it's not you doing it. So a lot of people make demands of you who will never do the demand they're demanding you do on their own initiative. You see what I'm saying? So stand up for what is right, but try to choose a guarantee. If you've got food in the refrigerator, you can, and you wake up sick, you can probably eat that day. But if you have to go out and get food every single day, then there's going to be a day when you wake up and you're barfy and everything else. You're not going to feel like it. And no one's going to want to come to your place with that. So try to think about sustainability, persistence, all that sort of thing. And just know we're all just making it up as we go. So one day you're not going to know what to do. Well, then try to find your way. Try to talk to other people about it. Try to get that peaceful, easy feeling in you. And you'll be fine for life if you could do that. Because you're going to make mistakes, you're going to do things wrong, and you're going to learn from it, hopefully. And then keep a journal if you need be. Write it down. Watch videos like this. I think you got it. Because, like I say, we all came into the world because our parents had relations and we haven't died yet. That's the only reason we're here. It isn't because of some divine will or any of that kind of stuff. It's all made up. We're here simply because we haven't died yet. And one day when we do, it'll be a surprise to us. You know what I mean? So I hope you remember that I always loved you. Your mom and I both always loved you. And that we wanted the best for you. But that best is we wanted the best version of Alana you can be. And we're always going to be happy with whatever you choose. Okay? Just try not to be the gang leader in a prison. Okay? Can you not do that? But if you are, we'll wait around for that phone call to come ever so often so you can have your 5 to 10 minutes. And we'll try to continue to See if a lawyer can get you out. You know what I'm saying? But just try to live in such a way that you never have to go to such a place. Anyway, this is Dad from the Older Dad Show, and I hope to see you in your memories.